Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mach, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Ezra and Matt from Begravement. How you doing, guys? Thanks for joining me.
Great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I'm glad we were able to get this on the calendar. I really enjoy the new record, Horrific Illusions Beckon. So let's talk about it. It's been out for about a month now. Are you glad that process is over? How has the reception been?
Took a lot longer than we were expecting for
It
sure.
did. Reception has been great. It was a very long process because I think we're a slow moving band. We don't
Yeah.
practice very often and we don't really write as a band. It's sort of like Matt and I, for the most part, write songs and then send them to everyone. And
Hmm.
if the other people take a while to learn the songs, then there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
And also, um, the process was hindered slightly by the fact that we did record in a real studio, but it was a studio I have an internship at.
Hmm.
And so I recorded the whole thing myself, but it was my first time doing a full album in a real
Yeah.
studio. Also, like I had to work around the professional engineer whose schedule takes up most of the time there. So it
That
took us 2.5 months just to record it.
that
Yeah.
sounds like a DIY situation.
It was pretty DIY for being in a studio. Yeah.
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 Before we get any further, I got a comment on the shirts. We got a death shirt. What Ezra? What are you wearing right now?
Worm shirt.
I thought that was a worm shirt. I actually
And they $20 spin reissued like the Gloom Lord long sleeves, and I was like, I have to grab one of
I
those.
no. I have a worm poster right up there. So I thought so. That's why I had to ask. But yeah, I adore worm.
Worm is
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
Forever Blade might have been my album of the year. Like, was it 2021?
I think it was 21.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
Forever.
2021, and then they had an EP last year, or might have been even earlier this year. I'm kind of
Nothing.
blanking.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Now, from what I understand, you put out this record completely independently. You're an unsigned band. What's that like, and what benefits and what challenges does it bring not doing this with a label?
I think the main benefit is we can choose what to do ourselves.
Hmm.
You know, we're not trying to like fit into anyone else's schedule, and no one else is taking a cut of the money.
Mhm.
Sort of the drawback would be that there's maybe it's harder to reach a wider audience. It sort of has to be
Yeah.
promoted almost entirely by word of mouth.
Yeah, I feel like most of the promotional aspects are just like a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
It's harder to get your name out there. Less connections.
Well, that's impressive because the record definitely made a splash, at least on like metal social medias and Reddits, and
Yeah.
got some buzz. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
good for
Yeah.
you.
I was very pleasantly surprised by the
Yeah, I
reception
think both of us
Yeah.
were.
for sure.
Hmm. You're dealing in like an underground scene where like word of mouth is a huge part of it. So like it feels like it
Yeah.
can happen in underground metal. So
Oh, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there was a label. I've said who it was before in interviews, but I don't feel the need to again. That had
mhm.
reached out to us and I was talking to one of their owners, but they simply weren't able to fit us into their release schedule
Yeah.
because
Their catalog was full.
yeah, because by the time they reached out to us, actually, like we were done with our album, and
Mhm.
they were like, it's just too complicated to try to work with a band that already has a finished album when all our releases are already scheduled for like a full week out, and with bands that we've been or a full month, sorry, full year out. Wow, I
Yeah.
missed a bunch of times. Yeah, and they are a major label or a major in the underground metal world.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
bands from the Twin Cities on their roster, but uh I'm hoping that that label will reopen discussions now that the album's out and we don't really have like a new album definitively in the works. And also like any solid label with a good reputation, I would be happy to be a part of if we got a good deal out of it.
Yeah, we're definitely not picky.
No. Well, I mean,
It's
somewhat picky.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not signing with Earache ever.
it's that's funny. I have a worm rot poster right there.
Not if Earache record sucks.
Um that's so funny that you like how you use the phrase major labels, because I've done this too. Like we as metalheads think of like prosthetic or $20 spin as like big labels, but really, in the grand, they just aren't. But to us, they are.
It's like, I'm trying to like explain to like my non-metalhead family members how big Begravement is getting, and it's really hard because like maybe some of them know self-made musicians who have become very successful in their respective genres, and they're getting like 1 or 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and I'm like, oh my god, we're at 2,000 monthly listeners. That's huge. We're death metal bands in the world. Not exactly, but it's about as big as we could get with what we have
at this point. Yeah.
That's really funny because like when I do reviews, typically I like to pick things that I don't think are getting a lot of like attention, or I don't like talk about the big bands. But in my opinion, a big band is someone who has like 20,000 Spotify listens. Like that's not a big band, but to me it is.
At this point, I'm like, Undeath. Two names.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw Undeath with Phobophilic not too long ago over at Turf Club. It was a great show. Love Undeath.
Oh yeah, I think we know a few of the dudes in Phobophilic.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna
almost local. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the drummer for undisclosed reasons.
No need to say any more. All right, so take me back a little bit. How did you two, really the whole band, get so deep into death metal and thrash, and how did you all find each other? People who have a like-minded taste in music.
I should.
You should probably.
Yeah, I should definitely.
Your history runs deeper than mine.
Yeah. So basically, our other guitarist, Owen Hyber, he was sort of like locally, like legendary, especially in guitar circles, because he was super young and super good at guitar. Like he was winning like teenage guitar competitions at age 11.
Yeah, like you would call him like a locally recognized prodigy.
Yeah, and I'd heard his name before I was even like that deep into metal, just because someone was mildly impressed with my guitar playing and like tried to name drop Owen Hyber to get me to take lessons. He was like, I taught Owen Hyber, take my lessons. And I was like, I have no idea who that is. But I eventually met Owen. We were taking guitar lessons at the same shop, and we had a recital, and he played like a Gus G, like neoclassical thing, and I did a 10-minute Opeth song and did like the growls and all that, and he was like, we should play music together. And then we were all at a guitar clinic a month later that Matt was at too, but I didn't
know them yet.
Yeah, we didn't know him yet.
I went with a different friend, and
we it was a Gary Holt clinic, and we were jamming a little bit after, and like we should actually try to start a band. And then we ended up in like some group chat. There's this one like really annoying local dude who would always make these group chats, and
there's always a local dude. It's always a local.
There's always one
at least. Like a ton of people in a group chat and be like, we're a band now, and then they would never practice. But I ended up in one with Owen, and I was like, okay, well now this band needs to get real.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Owen, you are by far the most talented and respected person in this so-called band. What kind of music do you want to play? And he said, I want to play music inspired by leprosy era death. And I was like, awesome. We were 15 at this point. Yeah. So that was about as
I wasn't even there.
Yeah. And then we kicked the other two members out for one of them for not having good enough taste in metal, and the other one because he was a drummer and he just couldn't keep up with us. But I've just always, I think the reason I've gotten so deep into death metal and stuff was that like 6 years ago, I made a Metal Archives account just because I felt like it. And that thing has so much like power to like take you down these crazy rabbit holes of like the most obscure shit out there. I mean, I love
rabbit hole is a good word.
Yeah, like there'll be phases where I'm like, I'm only listening to dissonant death metal, and I have found 40 bands because of the Metal Archives.
Metal Archives is an amazing tool. It's like one of the
yes,
places on the internet that like operates like a traditional website, but like also like you get the similar artist tab. So yeah, like dissonant death metal, you look up All Straight, all of a sudden you have 28 bands that link to them, and then you can go to those bands, and then you're done. You have a month.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I don't want to discredit is when I was in middle school, especially, I lost my ties with most of these people by the time I got to high school. But I had a bunch of friends who were all into like different versions of really extreme music. And I was like, you know, like I was like, oh, Metallica, Slipknot, Pantera. And I had I had this one friend who was really into crust punk and Swedish folk metal.
Whoa, what a
Yeah.
combination.
And so the third or fourth metal band I ever heard is this Swedish folk metal band called Fade, F-E-J-D.
I can't say I'm familiar, to be honest.
Yeah, they are really good. For a long time, they didn't have a guitarist. I think they're the only band I know of on the Metal Archives that did not have a guitarist for like a super long time. Like they played metal, but it was all with like violins and drums and stuff like that. It was pretty
impressive.
Cool. It was, yeah, it's good. But
I know one other band that instead of having a guitar, they use two basses. They have a lead and a rhythm bass, and they distort the bass sound, and it is a cool texture. But other than that, yeah, I don't know of any metal bands that have two guitars. Yeah.
The only metal band I can think of without a guitarist is like Ohm, and I don't even know if I'd call them metal.
Yeah,
they're like their own thing. They're like metal.
Yeah, you were just
I
know Ohm. I see where you're coming from with that.
It's just like Sleep without Matt Pike, pretty much.
Yeah, but you know, I once I realized, because at the beginning I had this mentality like, oh, well, Metallica's popular and Slayer's popular, so that must be the best it gets. What's the point in checking anything out? And I think a lot of people have that mindset, and that's why those bands are so huge. And then a lot of people love them, but never dig any deeper. But once I don't know, I started finding bands that were like underground to me at the time. Now I would think of them as extremely mainstream, right? And I was like, oh my God, I like this way more than I like these huge metal bands.
Yeah.
Well, if this is so good, what if like the best metal out there is the bands that like barely anyone knows? And that is what I believe now, because I've dug that deep, and it seems like all the coolest stuff is stuff that is so fringe that most people can't get into it, you know?
There are people that still think that like Killswitch Engage is the heaviest thing that's ever happened, you know? Like, it's just like
oh man. Engage is like the only band I've ever like walked out on, pretty much.
Really? So you've seen Killswitch Engage?
Yeah, they were touring with Anthrax back, I think, 2018.
That's a wild tour.
Yeah, I know, right? Anthrax was great. I think Havoc might have been there too. They were like, all right. But yeah, oh my God, Killswitch was so bad. They were like a joke almost.
Yeah.
Similarly, I have gone to 2 Soulfly concerts and left before Soulfly. Because
that makes sense.
I've never even listened to Soulfly.
No, me either. But they first time Toxic Holocaust was playing before them, and the second time 200 Stab Wounds was playing before them. So I went to both of those shows. But yeah, I agree. Like it's, yeah, you know, I mean, there are also people who think that Pantera is the heaviest thing ever, and that like Walk is as extreme as it gets.
Well, yeah, it's not even as extreme as Pantera gets.
No. It's not.
Are you two going to Cannibal Corpse in the October? Oh, we gotta.
Well, mostly I'm going
for Gorguts.
Yeah, we're going for Gorguts.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, Gorguts is cite them as like my all-time favorite death metal band.
I would put them in my top 5, and you know they haven't been to Minnesota for 7 years, so I can't miss that. I get a lot of shit for this locally. I don't particularly care about Cannibal Corpse, and I don't think that most of their stuff is that good. They're okay. But I want to see them to say I've seen them, and be sure that they put on a good show. And same goes for Mayhem. I don't like most of their music, but it'll be crazy to say I was at the Mayhem show, you know.
And then I think, isn't Blood Incantation on that bill?
We've seen them twice. We've seen them twice.
They're like 17th time this year being in Minneapolis. They're always here.
Hey, I don't mind. I love those dudes.
Well, you already kind of alluded to this too, but I just gotta ask, because I see people comment about this a lot, and I wonder, are you tired of people mentioning how young you are?
Never.
How young we are? I've definitely noticed it a lot less than we did.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We put out EP.
We were like 17.
Yeah.
We put out the EP.
Yeah, so we put out an EP, Conjuring the Necromancer, in 2021. Matt and I were 17. Owen would have been 18. And
Ray wasn't even in the band yet.
Yeah, we didn't have a permanent drummer. our other guitarist Owen drummed on that EP. And it was definitely the selling point, was that we were young, which I was okay with at the time. Now I'm glad that the selling point is that we put out a good album.
Yeah.
I think I still like Conjuring the Necromancer. I'm proud of it. I can definitely, there's nothing embarrassing about it. I'm more just like, I'm glad we've progressed from that era.
Yeah.
But
We've just smoothed out a little.
But it was funny because like the big deal with us. So this time around, it was that I did a Bandcamp interview, and I was like on their front page, my face.
I saw that. Yes.
That was like insane, and the way that it affected our audience was just. We got in August, we got almost 10 times more streams than any other month.
Jesus, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. But the similar thing back when we did the EP was that Decibel Magazine like put up a stream of the EP on their website, and that was also great. But their selling point for us, which I mean, I may have talked it up a bit when I wrote to them, I can't remember, was how young we were. And it actually, I believe the article said Begravement is 3 high school friends, and none of us went to the same school.
Yeah.
But I was keeping a really close watch on the Facebook post where they shared that article, and there were a couple people who were like, teenagers playing death metal, it's a stupid gimmick, their parents would be ashamed for trying to pull this off. And I was like, wait a second,
what?
My dad doesn't like death metal. And I responded, I was like, check again, we're not a gimmick. And then I was pleased to see that the person who had said that liked our Facebook page a couple days later.
Hell yeah.
Actually gave us a chance. But yeah, here's one thing about that I think is really interesting is that so many like classic death metal and also obviously thrash albums were made by very young people. Like I think 2 of the members of Carcass were 17 when Freak of Putrefaction came out.
Decapitated comes to mind.
Yeah.
He was like 14 when he did Winds of Creation.
Yes, but like
James Hetfield was so young when Kill 'Em All came out.
Yeah, he was like 19. He was like my age.
Yeah.
That's great.
Chuck was 19 or 20 when Scream Bloody Gore came out. It's so weird because now it seems like all the bands that are like emerging from the underground, they're all like in their 30s. They're in their late 20s or in their 30s, and it seems like a lot of the audience has forgotten that this kind of music came from a very young core of people. Like this was not music where it was like, oh, these people played thrash through their teens and into their 20s, and then all of a sudden in their 30s they're like, what if we started growling and doing blast beats? Like these, like you have to be a teenager to come up with that stuff. You know, like young and full of energy and maybe drugs. And so that's just like a little bit. When people mention how young we are, I'm like, yeah, but so are the people on a lot of your favorite albums.
That's such a good point, and I'm glad you said that.
All the Blood Incantation guys are like 38.
Yeah.
Good for them for getting a start so late in the
wasn't Carl Sanders like 40 when he formed Nile?
I believe the first Nile album came out when he was 35. Yeah.
I love that.
That's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool that that's possible.
He's still around.
It's cool that that's possible because it means you don't have to give up on a career in extreme metal if you haven't made it by the time you're in your early 20s. But then to act like it's somehow a gimmick or an anomaly if you are playing death metal in your early 20s, I think that's a little bit
Yeah, I agree. That's why I asked it in jest.
Yeah.
Now when I listen to your music, I hear thrash for sure. I hear that early death influence that you talk about. But at least to my ears, I also get that very entombed, like Swedish sound. You know, you have the buzzsaw approach or some melody. Am I accurate there? Is that a major thing you're trying to emulate?
I mean, I would honestly. Do you think that we're more influenced by Swedish melodeath or Swedish death metal?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just write songs and however they turn out is how they turn out.
Huh.
Yeah, a lot of the like Swedish bands that I draw influence on are like some of the more melodic ones. Like Edge of Sanity is a big one for me.
Of course.
Dismember, although they're more death metal for sure.
They are
Yeah.
more melodic for the just straight old school
That's
death
true.
metal, though.
Yeah, but we love Dismember, and Opeth is another huge influence on us. But like, I don't know, it's hard to take a band that's so different from Begravement like Opeth and influence it into our music. That was sort of what I was trying to do with the song Intergalactic Espionage.
Okay.
Little acoustic thing at the end. Like that was very like Opeth influence.
It's definitely.
Yeah.
What are your favorite Opeth albums?
Still Life for sure.
Still Life or Degrees. Yeah.
Blackwater Park.
Yeah.
Blackwater Park's like their classic, but I also am a Still Life girl. I just think it has that.
Still Life is like perfect.
Perfect concept album.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's the best.
Alone, man.
Yeah, the lyrics are great.
It's the best combo of like their death metal side, but also their prog side, and also like this quieter folk elements are just so good as well.
Benighted, hell yeah.
Yeah. That album's amazing.
Little jazzy stuff too, like Face of Melinda.
Yeah,
it's just got everything.
Yeah. It's
like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny about, not liking super mainstream bands, and then Opeth is like
I'm sorry, I'm gonna look at my phone here. What is Opeth's listener count? They they have 732.9 thousand monthly listeners. So that's huge for a metal band.
It might have been over 1 million.
Honestly. Yeah, I mean they haven't put out an album in 4 years and they're still at that number. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty
good.
What
is Metallica at? Just out of curiosity.
Probably like 20 million or something.
Didn't they just hit 1 billion on one of their songs? Like 1 billion streams?
Probably.
Yeah, they have 25 million monthly listeners.
Yeah.
I love early Metallica, and I think they are a band that like genuinely did come out of the underground, but I Black Album onward, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I agree. Like I honestly think I'm more of a Cliff Burton fan than I am a Metallica fan.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Cliff Burton had a massive influence on me in my early years of playing bass.
Yeah.
Like he was pretty much my god that I worshipped for like 4 years, and I pretty much just tried to mimic him. But I've tried to grow out of that in elder years.
He was a really good bassist.
Yeah, no. I mean, person to worship.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd like to become my own bassist as well.
Him and Steve Harris are legends for a reason. So
for sure. I mean, The Trooper was one of the first ever songs I learned. So yeah. I mean, big early influence for sure.
I mean, they're like the greatest, one of the greatest of all time. It's pretty hard to argue with that. Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit because the stuff I want to talk about is, as I mentioned, we're both from the Twin Cities. I think you're in St. Paul, right?
It's all.
Yeah. I'm in Minneapolis. Yeah, I'm in St. Paul enough. It's one city, and that might be blasphemous to some people, but I think it is. So I'd love to chat about that a little bit. Can you give my audience a bit of an insight on what's going on in the scene here in Minnesota? What's your take on it right now? Do you think it's in a healthy state?
I mean, I would have to say, yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a few like new bands emerging, and there's some younger bands coming out too that are,
of course,
more exciting. Like I don't know if you've heard about Visceral Reaction at all, but they're these like dudes who are like younger than us when we put out Conjuring the Necromancer,
and they have
still in high school, and they already have an album out. Like they're growing so quick.
Yeah, I think that it seems like Minnesota has one of the strongest metal scenes in the country currently. But one thing that is sort of like deceptive about that is it feels like there's a lot of like factions within it. Like, oh, these people,
it's a little cliquey.
This is the NYDM crowd, and they're only going to show up for mediocre death metal bands fronted by 40-year-olds.
Yeah, that all sound like
a lot of people are going to unfriend me if they see this. I don't care. And these are the hardcore kids who like to call themselves metalheads and stuff like that. And it makes it
there's a bit of a black metal niche as well, I'd say.
Yeah. So like you're wearing an Obsequier shirt? Yeah.
I am. I was saying, yeah, they are originally Minneapolis based. I think they moved, but they were from Minneapolis.
Have you listened to them?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I definitely heard the name though.
Obsequiae is awesome. I have Palms of Sorrow and Kings on vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like strong like Black Death bands like Feralite, Grand Demise.
Yeah.
Suffering Hour I think is from here, but they moved.
Originally, but they moved. Yep. It's interesting because I say we have one of the strongest metal scenes, but then there are like very few bands that can play in the Twin Cities and like actually like bands from here that can just do a local show and actually have like very large draw unless they put together a bill that is like super mixed subgenre.
Yeah.
Like
it's like 7 bands too.
Right. Yeah. You have to have like
but
again,
like
that's
2 p.m.
that's just sort of like what I sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier about like things that are a big deal in like underground metal are very, 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 very small compared to everything else. And so like you can be the most popular local metal band in Minnesota and 60 people will come to your show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just the way it is. You know, I don't know. I can't speak to the scenes in Ohio or Colorado or New York or wherever all the awesome bands are coming out at any given time. But that just feels like that's the way it is. There's a lot of people who like are metalheads who support local underground metal, but they all support different varieties of it. Yeah. And it's very rare to see them all in the same place at the same time.
We had, I mean, there was the Majesty's record that came out earlier
that
this
was
year.
Great. One of my favorites from this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Nothingness. There's been some good stuff this year. I remember when False was blowing up in kind of the black metal scene before like unfortunate events, obviously, but there have been great bands that have come out of the city, and there will continue to be so. And I'm really glad to be here and support it in some way. Do y'all remember the Triple Rock? I mean, that was a pretty big loss for the scene.
I was
I'm not that long.
I was like 14 when that thing closed.
Yeah.
So never went to a show at the Triple Rock.
Heard some stories though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where like Panopticon would play, and like that's where like bands typically toured. Now you'll get the Turf Club posting some metal shows, but it's mostly like like Year on Death shows, and then like
the only unfortunate thing with Turf Club is they're super strict about their 21 plus policy.
Mm-hmm.
There's like no exceptions, even if you're on the guest list.
We're both still 20.
Yeah.
Or no, he's 19.
The only time I ever played at the Turf Club or even went in was when I was like filling in for a local band called Coagulate.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I'm familiar.
Yeah. They're a little bigger than us for sure.
Yeah, they are.
I went to go see the Creator Death Angel and Sepultura show at First Avenue, which was like, I was surprised. They don't usually have like metal gigs in the main room, but
Guar.
Except Guar,
yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to First Ave main room.
Me either.
Yeah, I've gone to a lot of shows.
I wanted to see Carcass there this year, but I didn't make it, unfortunately.
I didn't either.
I saw them. I've seen them once. They're not going to play that much off of my favorite albums, so what's the point?
Before that, I was at the Obituary Immolation Blood Incantation show at
Fine
Line. Yeah,
that was a great show.
That was awesome.
That was so good. Yeah,
that was a stacked lineup.
I mean, Immolation was so good. I had never seen Obituary. I didn't know what they were going to be, and they surprised me. They were fantastic.
Oh yeah. I had been told they were a really great live band, and they definitely didn't let me down because I don't know. I'm kind of about studio Obituary, like the first 2 albums, but like after.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, sort of with the metal elitists on that one. Not like I'm separate from them in most ways, but
no, I kind of agree. Like I listened to it, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of as close as death metal gets to dad rock. It's still fun to see live.
Yeah, it's like
it's like music that's meant to be enjoyed live.
You can immediately tell if you're listening to Obituary. I'll give them that. They have a very distinct sound, but it's sort of like
that in itself is
okay.
impressive.
You are playing like really stripped down death metal, and you've been doing it for like 11 albums.
Cool.
where's the excitement in a new obituary release? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta say, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you compare that to Death, who invented like 30 subgenres, and they're like,
Yeah, like doing a new thing on each album.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I find that far more impressive. The band can like do new shit on each album, like
Oh, yeah.
freaking Boris.
Oh yeah.
They were just in.
Oh man,
Yeah, I didn't go to the Boris show either, but
I like just got into them honestly. Like I had been lacking on Boris for a long time. They're such a good band.
well, between rehearsals, gigs, etc., where do you like to get a bite to eat in Minneapolis? And likewise, where would you point people here to visit to try? Like, what are some good restaurants? What are your favorites?
I recently just found this like Cantonese restaurant right around the corner from me. It's called Golden Chow Mein. It's on West 7th Street. It's like cheap as hell too, like $11 plates, and they're freaking huge. And it's like some pretty fine Chinese food.
Love good Chinese food.
Yeah, it's one of my go-tos. Also, all right, one more. Sorry.
Yeah.
In South Minneapolis, they have like the greatest Italian restaurant ever. It's called Fat Lorenzo's.
I have never heard of it, and I live in South Minneapolis.
It's awesome. You got to check out Fat Lorenzo's.
Okay.
It's sort of a staple.
It's classic.
I would say in Minneapolis, you've had it. There's a Mexican restaurant right near the studio where and it's called Pineda. And
Pineda is the shit.
They serve the most like bomb burritos.
They're like this long.
They're huge.
It's like insane.
I live near the Eat Street area. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like the burrito is like as like in my head, and it's $6 if you get the smallest one, and it's still huge. But I'm also I like Thai food a lot.
Of course.
And,
good pick.
And there's a sort of conflict of interest for me to plug this restaurant. There's a restaurant on University and Snelling in St. Paul called On's Thai Kitchen. My brother works there. It's the best Thai food in the city.
Really?
Yeah,
I have also been there multiple times, and I have to agree, there's no better Thai place in.
Okay, as an enjoyer of Thai food, we got to go there sometime.
It's right by the Turf Club.
It is right next to the Turf Club,
dude. Yeah, I mean,
which means they're always
play there.
They're always slammed whenever there's a show at the Turf Club, I hear.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, best Thai food I had was probably like this place northeast Minneapolis. I don't even remember what it was called.
There's a lot of
Northeast got some cool stuff.
The Twin Cities has a lot of great restaurants. A lot of great restaurants of all varieties of cuisine, which I think is great.
Yeah, I've been seeing some Ethiopian restaurants around town.
It's like Red Sea and
Yeah, Red Sea is really good.
Oh, is that Ethiopian?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. We almost played a show at the Red Sea once.
First show was actually scheduled to be at the Red Sea, and then it got canceled.
Yeah, then the pandemic.
Thank God. They had paired us with this band. I don't know if you even realized we were.
Yeah, they were like some like funk rock band.
No,
right?
It was so. I have this joke band with my younger brother called Pyreworks, and it's a melodic death metal band because why would I play anything other than metal, right? It's me, him, and a drum machine. And we did this Battle of the Bands thing at the Poorhouse, worst venue in Minneapolis.
I forgot that exists. Yes, I know. I know.
I think it might have closed.
Really?
I had heard something about it closing, and now I haven't seen anything about it.
Isn't there two? There's one like in Dinkytown and one downtown.
There's one of them closed. Yeah.
But yeah, that was like shortly after I joined the band, right?
Yeah, so he came to the show, and then but it was this Battle of the Bands with 10 bands that each got like a 35-minute set. And
Jesus.
I know.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It was a marathon.
Yeah, it got done at like 1 a.m. or something at the earliest. But one of the bands that was one of the 3 winners was actually going to be on the first Begravement show, and it was going to be at the Red Sea. And it was so funny because in that day and age, Begravement didn't have a drummer. So the agreement was that Owen, our other guitarist, would drum and I would be the only guitarist. And when we played with that setup, we were the most like raw, primitive sounding death metal because I was a very sloppy guitarist back then. And we would have been playing with this like very like polished, like indie rock-ish, slightly grungy, like alt rock band that's like there because they're all like attractive people and they're trying to get women, right? And like it would have been just like basically a noise band opening for them. It would have been fun to see how it had happened, but I'm glad that was not our first show.
What were the promoters trying to do there? That's just so funny.
No idea. I think I got the feeling afterwards that they were they like had a list of like younger local bands that they could potentially exploit because it was a pay to play thing. So like they were gonna have and I got the feeling that they had like a list of bands and they were just contacting Facebook pages regardless of genre. And so they were like, oh, there's this band called Begravement. They have a little bit of buzz. We don't know what they do. We don't care. Let's get them on a show at the Red Sea. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It would have been a trip, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it will never happen because we play with metal.
Yeah, that would have been a trip. I had short hair back then.
Yeah. He's the one who gets, I'm the front man, but he's the one who gets recognized all the time because
really?
Yeah. Like you've told me, oh, someone recognized me. And like
it does happen kind of a lot.
2 people have ever recognized me.
But like usually it's like someone that knows you or like went to Norwegian camp with you or something.
That's true.
But no, they always know Owen. Owen's the dude with connections.
Yeah.
They just like skated with him like once in 8th grade.
And
that's
they're
all
like,
it
you're
takes.
in that band with Owen.
Yeah.
but Matt has really good stage presence and windmills a lot, and it is.
I did suffer for it as
he
well.
Does, but I'm not sure.
You do the corpse grinder?
Huh?
You do the corpse grinder windmill?
Yeah, I mean, not as good, but yeah, he's got more neck than I do.
I am wondering what you would have done if you had short hair. Nothing.
I mean, no, I would have done something. It just would have been more anticlimactic.
That's true.
I don't know. Short hair people headbanging, it's not the same.
Especially bald people. Did you watch those like late 90s like Pantera videos where Phil Anselmo's just like headbanging? He doesn't have hair.
Just a couple shout outs for me. I love Modern Times. They have fantastic pancakes.
Great. I had a breakfast from there once and that was awesome.
Yeah. And then very underrated pub place. There's a lot of, there's Quang and people know, but Fatabe is also on Eat Straight and really unassuming. It's never really that busy, but they great bowl of pho. So if you want Fatabe.
Have you tried I'm gonna like butcher this pronunciation. There's a Vietnamese restaurant on University and either like Western or Dale, but they have a really tall sign, and it's like their name is spelled like TREIU space CHAU or something like that. I've heard someone say like Trey Chow, so that's what we call it.
I used to live over on the east side of St. Paul, and I think I know what you're talking about. I think I would ride past it sometime. So yes.
Yeah. So it was back when like City Pages existed or whatever. They were like,
yes. Oh, that's a flash.
Every single year they would win like best soup, and it is amazing. So if you're a Vietnamese, if you're a Vietnamese soup person, that's the place in St. Paul to go for sure. It's a pretty tiny restaurant, but it's awesome.
Tell me if this is a hot take if you agree, but I think Minneapolis is really lacking in the pizza scene. Like we just don't have that many good options.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as familiar with Minneapolis.
Yeah,
you lived there for a little bit, so you might know it better than me.
I don't really know. I guess the best pizza places are all in St. Paul.
I mean, the best pizza place I've had is this little place in like the Ecolab Center food court, and it's called Pino's. It's like New York style pizza and it's fucking awesome.
I like Punch. I like Tono's.
Punch is good.
Pizza Luce is great, and I think there must be a Luce.
I'm not big on Pizza Luce personally. I don't know. It's like their red sauce, man. It's like kind of weird.
Yeah, I think Pizza Luce is overrated myself.
It's overrated. It is.
I'd have to agree with you on that.
I think.
I mean, Fat Lorenzo's has great pizza from what I've heard. I always go for the pasta. I'm a sucker for the pasta.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, all the good pizza places do tend to be concentrated in St. Paul.
Wow.
Interesting.
I never thought about it.
Me either.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. And like the Twin Cities have a thing for like that coal fire thing, like Punch or like
Almost.
Black Sheep. It's like that's the type of style pizza we
I've
like.
heard about Black Sheep. I gotta try that place.
Oh, that's gone.
Oh, it's gone?
Yeah, but you can just go to Punch. It's the same thing.
Okay, I've been to Punch.
Yeah, it's that deal. I love it.
Well, the Black Sheep in St. Paul might have closed down, but there is still a couple in Minneapolis.
Oh, really? I thought there was only one.
I think
no, it's like a local chain.
Okay,
cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to. The one time I went to Black Sheep, it was the one in St. Paul, and it was right when it opened, and I was like 6, and I hated it because my parents ordered some like hipster pizza with like weird toppings, and I was a picky little kid. Could not handle that, and I definitely like complained about it a bunch. But I am a much more adventurous eater now, so it's definitely worth a rematch.
Especially when it comes to like spicy shit.
That's true.
Like dude does all the crazy thrill seeker stuff. Like he did the 1 chip challenge, right?
Yeah. I didn't die, so
yeah.
Congratulations. You're here.
Yeah. I have a bottle of allegedly the spiciest hot sauce in the world.
Yeah. Have you tried the gummy bear yet?
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Yeah, we saw it at my work.
Yeah. My brother and I just a couple days ago, we each like dipped a chopstick in the tiny bottle of the hottest sauce in the world or whatever, and we like dabbed it on our tongues. That was not pleasant.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was that hot.
In such a small quantity, like it's manageable, but you can tell that if you were to have it like in food, it would mess you up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also blessed as the Twin Cities, both St. Paul and Minneapolis, to have like a lot of like almost our 24-hour diners. Like we have Mickey's, you have Hard Times, Nicola Diner.
Okay, didn't Hard Times switch to? Oh, did you say Modern Times or
Hard Times?
Yeah, didn't they switch to not being 24 hours?
From the last time I remember, unless it's changed, that they were never completely 24 hours. They would close for like 2 hours. So they were open from like 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. and they would close for a little bit and then like
I think that's what Flameburger switched to as well.
Yeah, Hard Times is awesome. I haven't been there in a long time, but I've been meaning to get back, especially since I've
been once.
It's awesome.
I think I got like French toast or something. It was pretty damn good.
I love going out for breakfast, but a lot of the places are pretty expensive, and I know that Hard Times is not expensive.
No, it's not bad.
No, it's cash only, but not expensive.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, very punk.
Yeah, it is.
That's the only place in Minneapolis I know where I could walk in and I'll hear a fucking Merzbow record playing and I won't question it. It's like, oh, this makes sense. Like,
yeah,
that works.
Yeah. It's yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you come to our cities, if you come to the Twin Cities, viewers, and you don't want necessarily the best food, but you want an experience, go to Hard Times. It's hard to describe. It's a place. Has grimy food, loud music.
Yeah.
Staff isn't always the friendliest, and I love it.
Yeah.
Well, are you gonna be taking these tracks on the road? I see you have a few local gigs lined up, one at Mortimer's, which I hope to be at, but
I was like, oh, we took this long hiatus from gigging before the album release because I was like, we've been playing too many shows. Because last year we were doing like a local show every 3 weeks. And what started happening is it felt like fewer people were showing up to each one because it's like, it's the basic high school economics principle of supply and demand. If you have too many Begravement shows, no one is like dying to go to a Begravement show, even if they have, because they're like, Begravement's playing tonight. Yeah, I was planning on going, but I guess they're playing again in 3 weeks, so maybe I'll see them then. I'm not feeling, and then I sort of overbooked us for the rest of the year now, even though I had tried to get out of that.
I wouldn't call it overbooked.
It's true. We have 3.
I think once a month is a good rhythm.
I'm iffy on that, but yeah. But yes, we are planning on figuring out like a mini tour situation in the early not so early in 2024 that there's a chance that the tour would have to be canceled for extreme weather. But because like we have local friends who have like booked, oh, we're doing a weekend run across the Midwest in February, and then there's a big snowstorm and they have to cancel everything, and then they've lost a bunch of money. But
we're Minnesota drivers, we might make it through.
But that depends on what vehicle we're using.
That's true.
So we're looking at buying a van or
buy a monster truck.
Yeah. But we've played out of state before, but not for a long time.
Yeah.
One of the best.
What was our last one?
Grand Forks.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
2021.
We did play in Duluth, which feels like out of state.
And Mankato.
Yeah. But like, we've played a ton of local shows now, and we have, I can see where people are ordering merch from, and there are just as many people buying stuff from the rest of the country as there are from the Twin Cities. So there it is. Absolutely, we need to do more out of state stuff. One of the best shows we ever did was in Fargo.
Oh yeah, Fargo scene is crazy.
Yeah,
I've heard this. I've never been to Fargo, but I have heard this.
Let's go wild.
I actually really like Fargo as a city too. I was very surprised because obviously, like, politically and also just culturally, North Dakota is so blah,
Yeah.
But Fargo I was very pleasantly surprised. It's a nice city.
It's a college town. It's kind of weird. It's fun. It's kind of comparable to Duluth, I'd say. Or like, if you've ever been down to Lincoln, it's pretty similar to Lincoln.
Okay. I was like, we played this show, and we were second out of 4 bands, and I'm the one who like transports the merch and handles the money and stuff. So I had to stick around later than anyone else in the band, and I didn't get out of the venue until like 1 a.m. And I was driving with my dad, and he pulled over like in the middle of downtown Fargo at like 2 a.m. and found a like food cart that was selling these like crazy hot dogs that were like slathered in macaroni and cheese.
What?
And then had flaming hot Cheetos on them.
What the?
But I had been saying like, oh, I'm really hungry. And these things are enormous. And for some reason, he bought me 2 of them. And, so I eat one. I'm like, I can't eat the second one. And this is really gross. We're both super tired and from like just being up all day and driving. And I'm extra tired from having played like a very energetic set.
Yeah, we went all out.
And I just accidentally like left the other hot dog in the car overnight at the hotel. And it was like a hot day. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to turn your show into like a horror story show, but
that's great. Thank you.
But no, cool stuff in Fargo, and I've heard there's some like really good record stores and really good restaurants. But I haven't spent a ton of time there, but I was impressed with what I saw. It's absolutely true. Just like look at the death metal bands. There's three major death metal bands from Fargo, and they're a tiny city right now. There's Maul, Phobophilic, and Gorgatron, and they're all like doing these enormous tours. Gorgatron just did like a European festival tour. It's crazy. And just less than 2 years ago, we played this tiny hot dog restaurant in Grand Forks with them to a crowd of 15 people.
That's so
it's surreal.
It's crazy. It's like, oh wow, they played Obscene Extreme.
Yeah, man, dude. Those dudes made it.
Yeah,
good for them, honestly. Shout out Gorgatron.
Yeah,
like they need it.
Yeah.
I have a friend, and she's really into wrestling. And she was telling me that she went to a local wrestling gig here in Minneapolis, and Maul played it.
Yeah, was the vocalist one of the wrestlers?
Yeah, because he does that. They'll do like these double events where there's like pro wrestling and Maul show, and vocalist. I don't know if you've ever seen Maul live.
I haven't. No.
So
it's amazing.
Garrett. Okay, so they're not only like great people in Maul, but like they're like Garrett is an incredible vocalist, like one of the best vocalists I've ever seen.
It's super like unique,
but he's also like, he's such a nice guy, but he is like very tall and kind of scary
he's
looking.
A massive figure.
He's I would guess he's like 6'5".
Okay.
He's a big lad.
And I just remember seeing they had done like a pro wrestling / death metal thing in Fargo. And I want to say the wrestling happened before the mall concert, and he had like faced off with some guy whose character was like a priest.
Oh my God,
And
the Reverend Morel.
whatever that his name is. And the dude like hit him in the face with a crucifix with a razor blade on it a bunch of times. And so
Awesome.
the video from the middle of like the mall set where he's like wearing like a tank top and all that, and he's like huge, and he's like making this face, and he just like looks deranged, and he's got like his own blood just like soaking his whole body.
It's like still one of the most metal things I've ever seen footage of. Yeah, I don't know anyone in like I've never known anyone in real life more brutal than that dude.
I think the funny thing is like a lot of my coworkers are really surprised that I not only listen to death metal, but that I play it, because in real life, when I'm around people who I don't necessarily have a lot in common with, I'm a very quiet person. Like
Same.
I don't really talk to anyone, like unless they start a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, I'm like, oh, we're friends now. And then I'll go up to them and talk to them. But like, I'm not very outgoing in that way. I'm not good at
Neither am I.
making friends with new people on my own. And so sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm such a like quiet, nice person, but I'm playing this like violent, really extreme music. And then like Garrett from Mall, he's like a really nice guy, but he's also like getting stabbed in the face and then playing death metal shows. And I'm like, he's walking the walk,
Dude, yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same. I'm also quiet. I work. The funny thing is I work in the service industry, and so I have to put on the customer service voice, and I'm paid to be like super nice and friendly. And these customers have no idea that. I mean, I have pentagrams all over my wall. I'm into this like scary shit.
Yeah.
But like, we can be nice people too. I love cute dogs. I got a little cute puppy here. Like.
Yeah, I mean, like I've seen a bunch of photos of Chuck Schuldiner holding like puppies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
I can't remember which. I think it's Obituary. The Tardy brothers like own a cat rescue.
That's so good. That's so good. That's so wholesome.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like there have been like, I work at a grocery store, whatever. And there have been like people who come in, they're new employees. I have to help train them. And, I have my hair up, I'm wearing my uniform, and, I'm like very like, yeah, how are you? Would you like paper or plastic? Blah, 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 blah. And then I come in 2 days later, interact with the same coworker, but I'm wearing my regular clothes. I'm wearing a worm long sleeve, a battle vest, camo pants, pentagram.
Of course.
If I'm on my way to a show, bullet belt and gauntlets, and they don't recognize me, I'll like go up to them and be like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, how are you today, sir?" And I'm like, you have no idea who I am. I just trained you. Yeah, this is amazing.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's like I'm living a double life or something.
See, at my job, I don't like have to wear a uniform. I work like behind a bar, so like I can wear band shirts, so people have a general idea of like what I am, but still like they have no idea about metal. They don't ask about it, so they just think it's like a graphic T-shirt. So like, but still,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, what was really funny was I've had the same job for a long time, and I was much more outgoing at the beginning before the customers, wore me out, and I was
of course
trying to be friendly anymore,
Yeah, I'm definitely there.
And they would say like, what are you up to this weekend? I would say that to them, and they'd be like, oh, I'm going fishing, I'm going up to my cabin. What about you? And I'd say, oh, band practice. And they would look at me and they would see how young I was, and they were like, oh, you're in school band. What do you play? And I was like, no, it's my band. It's my band, and we play death metal. Yeah, we're called Begravement, and we have a song called "Obliterate the Convent." So that's my wholesome.
By the way, that'll be $43.
Yes, for one package.
Yeah,
of
for
bacon.
one loaf of bread.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, we're getting close to time. Gotta just just a couple fun questions. What do you do when you're not doing music stuff? What are your other hobbies? Do you game?
I used to be really into gaming, but not as much these days. I'm really big into like nature walks and urban exploring.
Oh yeah.
Me and my buddies are a bit into that, and kind of intertwined with music, but I love collecting vinyls.
We have Extreme Noise. Do you visit them often?
I mean, I live in St. Paul, so I go to Cheapo a lot more than I go to Extreme Noise.
Yeah.
I've definitely been to Extreme Noise a fair amount of times. Agartha is another one of my favorite record stores.
Yeah, Cigarson's great.
Yeah.
Do you visit Cadence at all? They don't really have a metal selection, but they're cool guys.
We had a couple shows there.
Yeah, we played there a few times.
I used to work there a long time ago.
Okay. Wow, yeah.
I think, yeah, one of our drummers used to work there, didn't he?
Yes. When did you work there?
Oh, I was still in St. Paul, so like this had to be like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Did you know Matthew Wellen?
There might have like just maybe replaced me, or like because I don't.
He was the original Begravement drummer who didn't last very long. But he worked at Cadence. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I don't know how long he worked there, but I know for a while, like maybe he was like an unpaid intern or something like that. Yeah, I don't know, because it was like a huge thing when he was like, "Oh, they started paying me." I don't know. I don't know what was up with that.
That's weird.
Roller coasters.
Yes. So almost everything I do is music in some way. I'm always playing guitar or writing music or listening to music or thinking about music. A lot of my best songs have been written in my head at work. So
yeah, that's how you wrote Return to Planet Earth, right?
It is.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, outside of that, I like spending time outside, but not in the Twin Cities. All the nice places in the Twin Cities are super crowded all the time.
Unless you go in nature.
I have been pretty lucky to go on some really awesome trips to awesome parts of the country.
You've been going to Europe like once a year.
Well, I've gone twice. That's not exactly the right way to put it, but
ever since I've known you.
Yeah, that's true. But what Matt mentioned earlier is that my dad and my brother and I, for a long time, like our shared thing we care about is that we like travel all over the place and ride roller coasters.
That's amazing. And I was just talking about this with another person. Like, I remember loving roller coasters when I was younger, but I haven't been on one in so long, and I don't even know where to like go now to go, ride a good roller coaster. But that sounds amazing.
I mean, yeah. Valley Fair is like the only good option around here, I think.
I think so.
But yeah, it's kind of funny because like I don't really do roller coasters. Like the height messes with me. But like I've been on like some really crazy extreme water slides. Like when I was in the Dells, I went on this thing called the Scorpion's Tail. Yeah. It's like a water slide with a loop.
Yeah.
It's like 10 stories up too. It was freaking gnarly.
Yeah. It's just like, it's something I've liked since I was a little kid, and I definitely like it in a very different way now than I did back then. I used to be able to tell you the height and speed of every roller coaster at every major amusement park in the world, basically, and who built what, and I would be like, oh well, we have to plan a trip to this place in 2 years because they're gonna have this new thing, and now it's just like, yeah, I like riding them. That's about fun, as far as it goes.
What's your top 5?
Top 5, I can't do that. I can do my top. I can do my top 1.
Okay,
my favorite roller coaster in the world is called Intimidator 305, and it's at King's Dominion in Virginia. It's actually, I don't think there's anything else like it. It sort of famously knocks most people unconscious.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it did do that to me. One of the I rode it like 4 or 5 times.
What the hell is in this ride?
5 G's.
Whoa.
And it's very tall and very fast, and it's not very long, but it doesn't need to be because you're so worn out after riding it once that
how does the adrenaline after that compare to the adrenaline after a show?
It's different because like you are unconscious and then you wake up. It's like, What day is it?
Holy shit.
Yeah, I did faint at our album release show, and
Really?
no one noticed, so
What
that
the
was
fuck
good.
did that happen?
In the middle of one of the songs, I screamed for too long, and I was like on the brink of actually blacking out, like I couldn't feel my fingers. But I kept playing, and I regained full functionality.
Oh my
15
goodness.
seconds later, I didn't eat anything like the entire day,
Dude.
except when we went to lunch before the show.
Dude.
And so I screamed for a little too long, and yeah, almost fainted, or I mean, basically fainted. Yeah.
So when I lived, go for it.
Oh no, I don't know what I was gonna say next.
When I was I've been in Minnesota for quite a bit, over a decade. But I didn't grow up here. I went to high school in like the Chicago suburbs, but in Indiana. But our physics class for a field trip took a trip to the Chicago-based, not in Chicago, it's in the Chicago area. There's Six Flags.
Yeah, Six Flags Great America, Gurnee,
Yes,
Illinois. Yes.
Gurnee, Illinois, and they had a ride called the Superman, which was a roller coaster, but you lay literally prostrate like a Superman. I always thought that was kind of cool.
I've seen footage of that. That one's classic.
I've been on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great ride. Yeah. I was there. This is really funny. I was there in 2016, and we had this trip planned with my grandma. She was gonna take me and my brother on the Amtrak to Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be my dad and my stepmom's wedding anniversary. And so they were going to do a thing in Milwaukee also. And then one of the days my dad was going to take us to Six Flags. And the plan was almost messed up by the fact that Metallica announced a concert at US Bank Stadium. And what had to happen was like, I think I went to the Metallica concert, and then I had to be like woken up at 4 a.m. It was gonna be that like we were gonna stay with my grandma who lived right near the Amtrak station, so I wouldn't have to wake up as early. And yeah, but like my dad, because I was 13, and he was like, "No, you're only gonna get 3 hours of sleep, and no, I can't let you do that." And took a lot of persuading. He was gonna either not let me see Metallica or not let me go to Six Flags.
But you got both.
Got both. Yeah, I paid $150 in mostly coins to my friend's dad, and his dad had a friend who worked for Warner Brothers, who of course owns Metallica's record label, and the concert was totally sold out, but we got seats. I paid in mostly coins because that's what I had.
I'm probably gonna go to the Metallica show in August, but I'm still looking. The tickets are just insane. The prices are what?
For me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I because I'm a metal elitist, don't have the best memories of the time I saw Metallica, even though I enjoyed it at the time.
Yeah, the time I saw them, they did that shitty ass "When Doves Cry" thing.
Yeah.
Like the Prince.
Oh, I've seen footage of this. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I was there, and it was just bad in person.
But like compared to like some of the newer Metallica set lists, the show I saw honestly was pretty good.
You got a much better show than I did.
Yeah, I'll have to, once this like 2-day tour thing has progressed a little more, I'll have to look at the set lists and see. Because I've heard that it's like
Leper Messiah, didn't they?
I've heard that it's like one night they play all the hits, and one night they play a bunch of deep cuts and classics. And so I might be interested, but I also have a couple friends who might have extra tickets that they are willing to give me for free. And in that case, yeah, I'll go. But talk about like a horrible selection of opening acts.
Yeah, Five Finger Death Punch. And isn't it like Ice Nine Kills too?
Yeah, and Wolfgang Van Halen, and then the fake Pantera.
Just Wolfgang?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Fake
Pantera. That's a good word for it, yeah.
So, like not super hyped for the other bands that are playing, and not super hyped for paying like $700 to see Metallica.
Even like the nosebleed seats are like $200. Like,
yeah,
jeez.
And I'm already making a huge trip to Maryland Death Fest, so I don't know if I have those funds. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't, like I've seen them, and it's been a long time since I've listened to them with any regularity, and it's been a long time since I've cared about it.
Yeah.
Because not only have I, discovered the more obscure stuff, but I also am just sort of like turned off by the corporateness of them, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And like for me, it's another layer. Like I work at fucking Spencer's and they play Metallica nonstop, especially since fucking 72 seasons came out. Like all I hear is fucking Master of Puppets and One and like Enter Sandman.
And Lux Eterna.
And yeah, they played a lot of shit on the new album for a little bit. Thank God that's over.
Yeah.
Anyways, needless to say, I'm just burnt out on the band as a whole.
The only like huge metal band that's still around that I haven't seen yet that I would pay a lot of money to see is Iron Maiden.
They're not touring the U.S. in this tour, which is interesting to me. But yeah,
I mean, they were here a year ago. I mean, they were in the U.S. a year ago, but they played.
I almost saw them once.
Yeah,
I worked though, sadly.
Anthrax isn't that big though, because when they come here,
Really?
they play like Skyway Theater.
Yeah,
like I mean, like of the few metal bands that are playing stadiums, you know.
Well, I mean, it's literally just Metallica and Iron Maiden at this point.
I know,
but maybe Gojira. I don't know.
I saw them before they were as big as they are, you know.
Where I mean, I've never seen Priest either, but would they be a stadium band if they came here?
They played the Armory, which is like a small stadium.
Yeah,
they were awesome, and I would see them again.
Yeah,
it was expensive.
Does Testament play stadiums?
No, Testament and Exodus like played the Skyway together like a year ago. Yeah, it's crazy how like again bands that we think of as like huge, you know, Testament is one of the biggest metal bands ever, and they'll play 4,000 person room. I mean, it's not like they're in their heyday currently, but you know, I'm going to see Billy Joel in November.
Really?
He was like one of the first musical artists I ever like really liked when I was really little.
Fucking clue about this.
No, dude, he is such a good songwriter. But
dude, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about this later because
I have a soft spot for Bruce Springsteen. It's allowed.
Yeah, but he's he's 50 years past his first era of popularity, and he's playing US Bank Stadium. I mean, that's just crazy, you know? Like
that's pretty nuts.
The last time that Billy Joel was here, this is a funny story. I used to deliver for Jimmy John's, and if people watching don't know, Minneapolis, I don't think St. Paul does, but Minneapolis, it's delivered on a bike. And I delivered in the downtown area. I mean, I was in college. This was probably 7-8 years ago. But I was delivering the night that Billy Joel was playing whatever the Twin Stadium is. I don't actually know what it's called. I'm not a sports person.
Target Field?
Target Field.
Yes, Target Field. And so I heard the entire Billy Joel concert because I was outside delivering sandwiches the entire time.
One of my supervisors lives up like a couple blocks away from Summit. No, not Summit. Sorry, Surly.
Yeah.
And he a couple nights ago was like, dude, someone's having a party like a couple blocks away and they're just blasting Ween. No, it was the Ween concert. I would have gone, but tickets were like $65.
Isn't your dad
Ween? Yeah, my dad saw Ween like 4 times in the 90s.
Didn't he like throw his bike hat on stage once or something?
Yeah, he did throw his bike helmet on stage, and one of the Weens wore his helmet for the entire concert. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But, Ween, it's like, oh, they're playing a brewery and they're like in their 60s and they're overcharged.
Are they really that old?
Yeah, their first albums were like late 80s.
Holy fuck, bro.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're in their, but they're not young anymore.
They're like my parents' age.
Yeah.
When I saw Insomnium and Enslaved at
I wanted to go to that show.
I wanted to go to that too.
At Varsity Theater, but like those are bands that I think are big, but that's not a big stage, and they're not.
No, I mean,
the average person on the street has never heard of Insomnium.
I just ask you, how was the sound?
So, I was surprised. I've never really seen a show at Varsity, and Insomnium particularly, like you could hear like all the leads like crystal clear. It was great.
That's cool. I would love to see that live one day.
So I've gone to, so this is the other funny thing that some people like giving me grief for because it's not very popular in the United States. I am a huge power metal fan. And I have gone to 2 shows ever at Varsity Theater. Both of them were power metal. Both of them were 2 of my favorite bands of all time, and could not hear the guitar.
Oh,
Symphony X, you could hear the guitar sort of, but like mostly only when he was soloing. And then I saw Camelot a few weeks ago, and zero guitar.
Oof.
Zero guitar. Like
Dude.
you could tell he was playing. You could hear him if no one else was, but it was just all drums and all keyboards, and it was just like, oh, it's like not even metal now. Oh.
I should have went to that Camelot show. I am also I love power metal, and I don't apologize for it. Twilight Force, that record.
Force. That's the easiest band on the face of the planet, I think. But like they clearly take themselves so unseriously that it's like okay to like them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like they are almost a parody of power metal.
It's like satirical.
Like almost. Like their lyrics are so over the top that it's impossible to believe they could possibly be serious. And their singer is like hitting notes like barely audible to the human ear. It's like, you know, it's fun. You know?
Yeah.
At least you're not like, yeah, we're metal, we're serious. Dragons, you know?
Yeah. I'm really half on power metal. I like some of like the higher quality stuff that Ezra's shown me. Like Symphony X is definitely one of the best bands I've come across. Angra is pretty good too.
Angra is incredible. Obviously the classics like Blind Guardian, Gamma
Blind
Ray.
Guardian is probably my favorite. What's the other band with the Angra dude? Shaman, is it?
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, but I sorry to alienate you so much from this conversation, Matt, because you don't know Camelot. But I was like, I so wish I could have seen Camelot when Roy Khan was still the singer. That probably is never going to happen. But I feel like their new guy is just so, like he's just like going through the motions, especially singing songs. Like where you watch the old videos where Roy was the singer, and not only did he have like an incredible voice, but he would get like so into the, like it was like he was acting out what he was singing about, and all their lyrics are like super dark, and so he would be like doing this on stage and like curling up in a ball, but just like singing his heart out. And like Tommy, the current singer, he's just like, hey, look at me, I'm a power metal singer singing this accidentally murdering your sister.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Whoa.
Yeah. I need to look sad, so I'm just gonna pull this shawl up over my eyes, you know. Yeah.
See, at my job, I get to control the aux, which obviously is cool.
Oh, so
I can't play like Mayhap, can't do that. But I can get away with some like Sun Out of Arctica or some like Twilight Force. I can totally play power metal. So I've gotten to really, really appreciate it working this job.
Yeah. Well, yes. My girlfriend works at a paint store.
Okay.
And on weekends, she'll be the only employee there, so she gets to play whatever music she wants. And we went to the Camelot show together, and then she's not really a metal person, but you know, she's gotten into some of it simply because she's around me.
Yeah, by proxy.
Yeah. And she was just like, give me a bunch of power metal albums that I can play for my 9-hour shift, and that like are clean but also fun to listen to. And I think she listened to 4 Camelot albums and a Blind Guardian album, and like
that's cool,
Angra and stuff like that. And I was like, oh hell yeah. Because and she said that like she was getting compliments on the music, because a lot of customers are like contractors who like old school heavy metal and hard rock, and they all thought that every single band she was playing was Iron Maiden. And of course it wasn't, but you know, what do they know? They've heard The Trooper and Number of the Beast, and they're like, hell yeah, I love Iron Maiden.
That happened the other day for me. I was playing Megaton Sword, if you're familiar. And they're like, oh, is this Iron Maiden? I'm like, this is a very new band, but I mean, I get where you get the connection, yeah.
They don't really
yeah, Municipal Waste, you must mean Iron Maiden.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Megaton Sword's like a little doomier, I think. But
yeah,
they're not my favorite of that.
I've never heard of them.
They're like, I'm trying to think of what would you say is like the similar stuff to Megaton Sword. It's like doomy or like old school heavy metal, but
yeah, they have like that, like they're definitely more on like the epic side of heavy metal versus like the like Judas Priesty side. I mean, another
Yeah.
band I think out there that's kind of similar, like modern band, would be like Eternal Champion, but I don't know about like a classic band that I would like.
Yeah, Eternal
dive into.
Champion. Yeah, that's so interesting that you compared those
Yeah.
two, because those are both Megaton Sword and Eternal Champion are bands I've tried to get into that I cannot. I don't know. I love like the newer wave of classic heavy metal, but those bands, like everyone seems to love them, and I'm just like, take it or leave it. I like the cheesy choruses. I like Haunt. I like
Enforcer. Do you know Riot City?
Yeah, Riot City's crazy. They
They're
sound like
fucking amazing.
Riot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking love Riot.
Riot's awesome. Like one of the most underrated like 80s metal bands, I think, is Riot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I think Riot is the band that made me like, okay, I like speed metal now.
Yeah. Have you listened to Riot?
I
Thundersteel?
haven't. No.
Dude,
Oh my god. Yeah, so it's
probably the greatest speed metal album ever.
Well, I'm queuing that up as soon as we end this.
so
Yeah, it's like Judas Priest grew another pair of balls.
It's crazy. I've heard people be like, oh my god, it's like the American version of Painkiller, except it's 2 years earlier than Painkiller.
No
like,
fucking way.
It's like so energetic, and the vocals are great, the riffs are great, the solos are great, the drums are great. It's just an awesome album.
I concur.
Only thing Painkiller has over it is production. And that's just because Judas Priest was enormous and had a huge budget, you know?
When it comes to speed metal, obviously Exciter is the go-to for me.
They're like the GOAT. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never listened to a ton, but you know.
I've never
Heavy Metal Maniac is a great album. You should at least listen to it one time.
That's like 82, isn't it?
Oh, it's early, yeah.
Wow.
Like I've seen some people claim that Exciter invented thrash, and then I've seen a lot of other people fail to argue with it. So yeah, I should actually listen to Exciter.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny because like I definitely used to be really judgmental about people who listen to like I mean I still am. I'm not judgmental about people who listen to things that aren't metal. What I'm judgmental about is people who listen to metal and only listen to the boring stuff. And what's funny is that like I didn't arrive at my taste right now by like poring over forums trying to figure out what elitists thought was cool. It's just that that's what my taste has ended up lining up with. There's very little metalcore and deathcore that I like, and I just love I love all the true heavy metal subgenres.
I try not to be an elitist, like I really do. But then like I've like recently stumbled across, you know, the YouTuber Nick Nocturnal.
Yes.
I've come across some of his videos. I'm like, oh, this is what people think metal is. Oh, it's so interesting to think. Oh, it's like just like straight up only deathcore. Like that's their world. Like, oh,
right.
It's so boring.
It is. Well, it's a coworker who is a couple years younger than me, and he was a nice guy, but basically exclusively into deathcore. And he was what I appreciated was he was very open-minded. He was like, Ezra, you know a lot more about metal than me. Do you have any recommendations? And really the only time I have a problem with like people who have that taste is when they're like, anyone who tells me that it gets better than this is wrong and an elitist and a gatekeeper. And, you know, and it's just like, well, I've been like digging thousands of bands deep into metal for a long time. I know a lot about it, and I know a lot of bands. And I recommended him None So Vile because he's into deathcore. I'm like, well, this is like sort of the root of that. Like, it's not a deathcore album, but that's the sound that deathcore is, you know, borrowed from. And he listened to it and he was like, oh my god, that is insane.
That's a nasty fucking record.
That's my favorite all-time death metal record right there.
And also the new Cryptopsy.
I still have to check it out.
You like it?
Oh yeah, and the new Dying Fetus. We had two classics give us a record this week.
I did enjoy the new Dying Fetus. I thought it sounded like Dying Fetus, which you know, I expected. So you know, they're a great band and have always been a great band and have only missed a couple of times. But Maybe I'll have to listen to the new Cryptopsy again. I definitely thought it was the best with the current vocalist. But I didn't have like there weren't a lot of riffs that like popped out. Like you listen to the first 2 to maybe 3 Cryptopsy albums, and like there's just like riffs grabbing you all over the place. Like, oh my god, this is so groovy.
Like it's brutal as fuck, but it's catchy at the same time.
It's catchy, but it also sounds evil, and
like it's got hooks.
Yeah, it does. And I didn't notice that as much on the new one. Maybe it's the production. Maybe I need to listen with headphones.
Yeah, I feel like ever since Whisper Supremacy, they've like almost over tapped into the chaos.
Yeah,
but that's what I liked about the new one. It's so like texture wise, it's just so physical and it hurts. And like
better, more focused listen. That's what I will give it.
I need to give it a listen.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of people saying like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing they've done."
Yeah,
I did think it was their best album since Whisper Supremacy, but like that's a pretty low bar.
Yeah.
I don't like almost anything they've done at all since Whisper Supremacy. I thought this one was at worst pretty good.
I mean, it's not a metalcore album. They did have a metalcore phase, but like,
yes,
yeah. Oh my god, fucking Unspoken King.
That is one of the worst albums I've ever heard. Like, I got a couple songs in. I was like, hey, this isn't so bad. What's everyone talking about? And then I heard the clean singing, and I was like, oh, that's why everyone hates this album.
I'm avoiding it like the plague.
He's never.
I've never.
Probably good
yeah, I think it's a respectable move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to a lot of people, like Lorna Shore is like the greatest death metal band of all time. I don't know if people think that, but people think that right now.
Oh, okay. If I want to listen to what people claim Lorna Shore is like really heavy, but also evil because they've got this black metal influence and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, if I want to listen to that, if I want to listen to what describing, well, yeah, but maybe like a more accessible and less, Old Man's Child?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Old Man's Child is crazy because it's also weird because they were one of the first extreme bands I heard, which doesn't make any sense because, right, you know a ton about metal, I can tell, and you have never heard of them.
Yeah.
It's actually a Dimmu Borgir side project.
That's so funny.
That blows Dimmu completely out of the water. It's like some of the most like wicked, riffy, like blackened death metal ever. And it just also is a little bit symphonic. One of the first songs that Begravement was ever going to cover, well before Matt was in the band, was like when we were first forming, it was like, everyone choose one song and we'll all learn it and we're going to cover it. And it never happened. But my pick was the song Black Seeds on Virgin Soil by Old Man's Child. They have the stupidest band name, but they just rip so hard, but with the new Cryptopsy album and with the new Dying Fetus album, I'm glad that both of them are as good as they are because well, it was really disappointing if Dying Fetus put out a bad album, and it would be really like, oh well, this again if Cryptopsy put out a bad album. But yeah, I do and I did listen to them because those are both bands that I care about. But I do think that like once like those bands have reached a point in their career where they no longer need to do anything. They have gained their recognition. And I wish that more people would listen to like newer bands with very few releases that are like doing new things and exploring new sounds and, pushing the envelope in different ways, because like Dying Fetus, that new album is very awesome, but it's basically every Dying Fetus album,
That Immolation though that came out last year, I feel like they pushed something new, and it's up there with their best.
Yeah, that's one I still have to check out. But I mean, Immolation never really disappoints.
Yeah,
they're like probably a top 3 death metal band for me, at least like classic.
Yeah,
they might be my favorite death metal band.
Yeah. I mean, I would commend you for that because they're awesome. I mean, I'm jamming like Close to a World Below and Unholy Cult on like a weekly basis now.
Those are definitely my favorites from them. Yeah. How about you?
That's
tough. Yeah.
That's a tough question because like their Immolation, there's such a deep discography. There's not very few misses, and they've been doing this. forever.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my all-time, like, it's an easy answer, but my favorite Immolation song, based on the strength of one riff alone, is Into Everlasting Fire.
Of course.
Because and also the lyrics on that song are crazy good. But
my
like,
favorite is still Father, You're Not a Father.
Yeah.
That song is just too fucking heavy for this earth.
But Immolation is just so good, you know. And but like, yeah, they're a rare example of a band that can continuously like put out great albums, and no one is surprised that they're suddenly putting out a great album again, you know?
Yeah.
Cryptopsy, it's like, oh, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, this band has gotten so terrible that like, oh, they actually like tried to write music this time and made music that sounded good. But there's so many like underground bands and stuff that I feel like deserve far more attention than you know, the new Cannibal Corpse that's coming out.
Yeah.
They're releasing another album?
Yeah.
I would, for Immolation, I would pick Here and After or Majesty and Decay, but yeah, there's still just so many.
Yes.
Majesty and Decay is the one I have to hear next. Like, I was doing a discography run, then got super sidetracked, and that one's up next, and I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, I don't. If you like Immolation, you will like that record. Like it's
Love Immolation, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it on tonight. We'll see.
You should do that. No, yeah, Immolation's great, and just death metal's great, you know, when it's done right. Which there's a lot of good bands. I think we're all on the same page about that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here right now if we didn't all love death metal.
Well, it's insane, but I've had you on for over an hour and a half. Thank you for spending so much time with me. It was great. It was a fun conversation. I probably should let you go. But before I do, I'm gonna let you have the floor. Plug your Bandcamp. Plug anything. Where can people find you? Any last words? Any last thoughts? Got a joke? I don't know. The floor is yours.
I wanted to thank you for being like a very engaging interviewer. I've been doing a ton of interviews where it's like, what year was your band formed? Where does your name come from? Who did your album art? You know?
It's cool to get like something new.
It's really
and
awesome
that you're geek out about bands and stuff. Or restaurants or whatever.
Yeah, just like, you know, it's just like
thank you.
That is being recorded instead of like reading off a sheet of paper the list of generic band questions. As for how to support Begravement, if you would like to,
I think the best place is still begravement.bandcamp.com.
Absolutely, that's where we sell all our merch, and it's of course still the best platform on the internet for supporting underground bands. We have Facebook and we have Instagram. It's just the username is just Begravement on both of those. Don't have a Twitter yet, probably never will.
Yeah, I don't really see it for a while.
And you know, keep an eye
on
keep an eye on our social media for upcoming concerts. If you are in other parts of the country, maybe if everything goes as planned, we'll be coming to your area in the relatively near future.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You know, the Godspeed and fucking Slayer.
Yeah, fucking Slayer.
Slayer.
Thank you so much for having us. That was fun. We'll I'm sure we'll see you at some shows.
You will.
Yeah.
Well,
we're always going to shit. We'll see you at Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, and I'll probably be at your Mortimer show.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, actually, we're gonna be playing at like 1 a.m. So
see,
we're like
the last band. So you know, no hard feelings if you don't stick around.
I won't be working on Sunday, but how many bands are playing?
So
a bunch. It's a benefit show.
It's 10. So there's an all ages thing that begins at 3. I think that's 6 bands, and then there's a 21 plus thing that begins at 9, and that's 4 bands, and we're the last of those. So you know, we might be on very, very late. It'll be fun.
To like 4 drunks.
You know, whatever. It's for a good cause.
Yeah.
So
we could do it for 0 people.
Yeah. It's you know, it's Jack from Visceral Reaction set the show up, and he's close friends with both of us. And and we like the other bands that are playing, and it's for a good cause, and so we were happy to do it, even if it means that no one is going to be there by the time.
Well, okay. So I'm not a late person, just because we throw it out there. So I might not be there, but I will definitely see you at a Minneapolis show or a St. Paul show soon.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Anyway, to my viewers, this was a great conversation. I had Ezra and Matt from Begravement on. My name is Maddie, aka Beavermosh, and I'm signing off.